Good morning. My name is Becky Rogers with Families Mentoring Families. And since our announcement a few days ago about the Family Rehabilitation Center, I've been pondering on a lot of things, and I thought it might be a good opportunity for me to share with you a little bit more about what the Family Rehabilitation Center is about and how we've come to this place. So, of course, whenever you're getting ready to take on a project, it's good to remember where you've come from. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about how Families Mentoring Families was started. So several years ago, it was before I ever came to Africa in the first place, I just had a seed of an idea. And at the time, I didn't really realize that that's what it was. It was just a thought that I had, didn't know where it had come from. But it was about children who live in children's homes who actually have families who can't take care of them. That's why they're there. And I didn't realize before that time that, when we talk about orphanages, children's homes, things like that, that many of the children who actually live there already have parents, which I discovered more fully when I first began to come to Africa and Ghana specifically. So one of the questions that came to my mind was, why? Why are these children in homes if they have parents, if they have families? And of course, that brings up all kinds of issues with why the parents are not able to care for their children. In most instances, they're unable to provide school fees, and in most instances as well, they're not able to even feed their children. And so, as a mother, that tears my heart out because my children are the most important thing to me in my life. And so the idea of not having the skills or the opportunities necessary to be able to take care of them really struck a chord with me. And over time, that seed got filed away a little bit as I started to come to Africa. When I first came, it was so impossible. I had no idea how to even make that happen. But I had this idea of Families Mentoring Families, also kind of laughing that I've never been anywhere to do humanitarian work and I don't even know what the needs are. And so that's kind of a silly idea for me to have. So anyway, fast forward a few years, we began coming with some teams, and then 2 years ago our family moved here. And we moved here really with no idea of what we were supposed to be doing here. And the first year was very intense, of just a huge learning curve, learning our way around. And so all of those ideas got pushed on a shelf. So fast forward again to 2 years later now, and we've had opportunities to observe and to work with a couple of different children's homes here. There's one that we've been affiliated with that I think it was around Christmas time I went there, and I was talking to the director, and I just asked him point blank, how many of the children here at this home actually have parents? And he told me that many of them did. And I said, so why are they here in the children's home? And he explained those situations. And I said, so of those parents of the children in the children's home, how many of them are literate? And he said, none of them. None of them are literate. And so that is one of the things that kind of spearheaded the idea with the Literacy Center. Like, how can we help these families to come back together through education and self-reliance and those sorts of things. And he was so overwhelmed with the idea of just taking care of the children that were in his care. He says, we can't possibly take that on. And I explained to him that that's what Families Mentoring Families does. And that's what the Family Literacy Center is about. And if we could, have a Family Literacy Center someplace around where the children's home was, then the parents could come and learn. They would actually see their children more often. And so some things grew out of that, but mostly, again, the idea was reiterated to me, the importance of being able to help families come back together, to be stronger and to be more self-reliant so that they can be together. So there are a couple of issues here with the Family Rehabilitation Center. So we began with the Literacy Center, and we built a couple of those, the pilots of those, and those are expanding. We have so many requests for literacy centers from all across Africa. We're excited to see where that goes. We have people stepping up, offering to volunteer to manage those and spearhead those, and we'll see where that goes. But so the literacy project is ongoing. However, we are now taking on something bigger, and that is the rehabilitation of some of these families. It's not just enough to just work on reading when they don't have resources for business creation or entrepreneurship. And so the children in a home can have their basic needs met, like food and shelter, but what can we do to support these families and get them self-reliant enough that they can take back the care of their own children? And there are a couple of issues with that. One is the actual opportunities that they need to be able to do that, and the mentoring that they need to be able to do that, and the follow-through, obviously, because that's not a 2 or 3 day fix. It takes several months. We've been lucky enough to be taught by the best of the best. In that home that I was telling you about, I asked the director how many children in the 20 years they've been operating have they been able to reintegrate with their families, and he said none. Not one time have they been successful at doing that. However, we do have another children's home here that we've been lucky to visit and work with, and that is going to make a difference. And while there a few weeks ago, we asked them how many children they've been able to reintegrate with their families, and they said 117 or something like that. And so the night and day difference of that is astounding. And so we're excited with the Rehabilitation Center to be able to model it after the programs that are already in place and that are already working, because that cuts out a lot of work for us to have to do. And they're happy to teach us and help us, because there's no shortage of families in need of help here. And so so that's one issue, is how do we provide the training, the education, the care for those families. And then the other issue is you can't just work with a family and just like teach them and give them skills and then just turn them loose as a family if they haven't been together as a family for a long time. So there is a piece of this that's very important to look at, and that is the rehabilitation facility. That is a place where they come and they live together and they learn their skills as they're living together. And it's basically a controlled community, a small controlled community where they are safe while they learn how to be a family together, and they learn how to be members of the community before they go out into the big wide world, so to speak. So we're very excited about this project. We hope that you will support us by sharing any information that you see come across social media, so that we can bring awareness to what we're doing here. If you would like to come on an expedition to help us with this, we would love to have you. And of course, you're always free to donate. If we have the funds in place, this facility will come together right away. So we're excited to give you updates and show you what's happening.